Response video. Second time I had to do this one. Yeah, the other camera I used farted out halfway through the video. But anyway, we'll just do it again. What the hell? I'll just not care as much. Anyway, Warbles on a lot. Yeah, sorry, but you're really irritating. Now that I've listened to some of this video, really irritating. So anyway, antinatalism, and, well, let's just play the video and I'll respond to it. It's just horrible.
Non-existent from perceiving joy or pleasure by stopping them from being conceived, that is not bad, okay? So if you prevent a non-existent being from suffering, that's good. If you prevent the non-existent being from experiencing joy, that's not bad.
There, so that's the basic tail end of the Benatar thing, right? Okay, you got nothing, there's nothing to really gain by creating people, and there's much to lose, is another way to say it. How's another way to say it? It doesn't say anything about the imposition argument, you know, the short straw thing, and whether you have a right to decide who gets these short straws. We all don't get neutral lives or median lives. That's not the way life works. Some people get the shit life, some people get the less shit life. I don't think anybody gets the good life, to tell you the truth. A life I would live. So, you know, I'll ask you the same question. What percentage of the human lives being lived right this minute would you go out and, if it was your consciousness that had to live that life, okay, from the circumstance it has, the limitations and the destiny it will endure, and, you know, you're you, but you're you at their education level, their ignorance, you know, all that kind of stuff. So you're you, but you're not you. But I don't, you know, there's no other way to explain that. But yeah, you're going to have to live inside of them, essentially, and experience what they're experiencing, and you'll have no control to change anything. They're just going to do their thing, and you're going to have to sit there and endure it. You'll experience what they experience emotionally and what they feel, but you'll have no control. Let's put it that way. How many of those people do you want to ride inside their consciousness? You want to ride piggyback. What percentage of the human race would you ride piggyback in? When you had to experience what they experience, feel what they feel. Just curious.
So, most people in the world who are not depressed consider that...
Alright, I might as well take care of this now. I won't even finish the rest of it. This not depressed crap is just so stupid. So you're talking about people who have a fundamental philosophy that basically says, oh yeah, we're here by a product of 4 billion years of mindless, senseless, idiotic evolution. That the whole premise is reproduction for the sake of reproduction. No master plan, no glorious objective. No, just a bunch of eccentric little beasties gladiating with each other, acquiring different kinds of swords and battle armor and gear. Nothing else to be accomplished. They're not going to build anything. They're not going to do anything. They're just going to win silly little battles, little ego trips, and then drop the fuck dead. That's the game. So they get to say, I win, they die, play the game all over again. Okay? Nothing accomplished. Just a bunch of carnage. Most of the players are wiped off the board altogether. Stupid, pointless, idiotic existence. Now, if somebody realizes that truth, and then on top of that realizes all this suffering that is endured because of it, and says it's all for what? American Idol, for the crap that is the definition of our cultures, the inane, silly nonsense that we glorify, for world champion soccer players. Yeah, if they're not depressed, they would have to be psychotic not to be depressed. They would have to have some sort of abnormal, sick, disgusting psychology, because they couldn't have any normal sense of empathy or any normal sense of good and bad. I mean, if they were to recognize this truth, because the beautiful and the precious and the valuable is being raped and pillaged, essentially, by nature and by ignorant humans. Why the fuck shouldn't they be depressed? It would be the natural reaction, you idiot.
Joy and pleasure are at least equal to suffering in importance. And in terms of how much...
Well, at least equal. So, again, you says you. Says you by what authority? Oh, most people? I don't even know if it's by most people's standard, because most people aren't breeding at a rate sufficient to maintain human existence on planet Earth. So most people don't see any urgent need to be part of the making machine. But beyond that, who cares? Most people is irrelevant as an argument. It's not a philosophical argument. It's a political argument. it's a pragmatic argument of some kind, but it's of what absolutely no value is a real argument. God damn it. This space is low. Shouldn't be, but it is. I'm going to fix this before rendering a file, and it's going to fuck it up if I don't do something about this problem. I don't think I can do anything now, though. Ba-dump. It's going to yell at me. Watch. You can't do that. Yeah, just told me I can't do that. Alright, I'm fucked, basically. Just say you're fucked. Just say it honestly. Come on, you can tell me. Just say it honestly. Alright, anyway. Move on. So where was I? Yeah, I gotta close this program and then I gotta delete the template. These stupid dumb programs don't delete their own temp files for whatever reason. Sorry. I should turn the camera off. Well, I'm not going to start over, so fuck that. I want to get this done. So I got things to do, people to annoy and whatnot. Alright, I got rid of them. There, done. Alright. I'll start that later. So where were we? You're an idiot. Yeah, that's where we are.
Time you spend in your life perceiving joy and suffering, or at least not perceiving pain and suffering, then pain...
Alright, whatever. So now he's going to argue this whole mishmash about how many milliseconds we spend doing one thing or the other, and that's not what life is. Life is a lot of little murders. It's a lot of little burdens. It's this terrible drag where you can spend 30 or 40, 50 years doing a job you absolutely hate, alright, just so you can live to retire, where you get arthritis and every day's kind of a pain. You got to take a bunch of pills just to get through the day. We all know what the blights are waiting out there for people. Alcoholism, all kinds of, drug abuse, all kinds of syndromes people are caught up in. They're not just sitting around going, oh, isn't life all fun, fun, fun. That is not reality for most people. So this fucking bullshit that you only spend a little tiny amount of your life being miserable is just plain bullshit. Are being less than comfortable. Less than comfortable. We spend a lot of time less than comfortable.
Suffering is a fairly small proportion of life. It's certainly not the dominant perception of life.
Dominant perception. Again, the dominant human experience is rather monotonous, drudgerous, tedious, irritating. That's the dominant. Come on, most of the time you're going somewhere or doing something, you'd rather be doing something else, and you got to do this thing and blah blah blah. Most of life is spent doing some kind of work. So again, this is just bullshit.
Is one of the assumptions of the antinatalists. All right. Now, the antinatalists are so convinced that life is dominated by suffering that one of them suggested recently on the comment thread that even on farms, when they've got people doing their best to look after them, then animals can't be spending any less than 50% of their time suffering.
I don't even know where this... Again, so you're going to argue with an individual, you're not going to name the individual, and then you're going to blanket all antinatalists with the argument. And you're going to call that, what, fair? That's how you have a fair argument? I mean, it's just bullshit. To the point, I mean, obviously it depends on the animal. Some animals have it worse than others. I would argue that milking cows in North America are hideously deformed, genetically mutations, and that their life probably is quite not comfortable. All right, there's a lot of not comfortable they have to live through. Obviously, things like chickens, I mean, if you think they have any sentience at all, they are living a brutal, horrid life. Whether they're laying eggs or whether they're dinner, either way, it's nasty fucking business for them. It's no life at all. And so these are humans taking care of things? No, we know most food animals are not being taken care of. They're just being exploited. And no one's given a fuck how loud they scream. I mean, go look at how Korea takes care of pigs. There's some videos online. Look under Korea and pigs and go watch those videos, shithead, and talk to me about how people give a fuck about the animals they're taking care of.
And you reckon that it would be far worse for their cousins living in the wild with nobody looking out for them? And I just thought, excuse me?
Well, look, we know the mortality rate in the wild, okay, and it's horrendous. the number of animals it takes to get one to maturity, just one, is disgusting. It's not a standard I would accept. I wouldn't accept having 10 kids and only having one of them survive, have 9 of them dead before they reach maturity. I wouldn't accept that. I wouldn't say I'm going to go have kids under those circumstances. I'm going to watch my kids die. Why would I do it? That's insidious. And you're going to talk about, well, everything dies quick or something. We know that doesn't happen. You're a registered nurse, and you're going to tell me how things die quickly? I mean, this is inane.
Fucking is dreaming of. Now, let's take, for example, a kangaroo. All right? Now, over there we have Kevin, the kangaroo. Now, he's 2.5 years old. And,
yeah, and he's so fucking psychotic that he's afraid to come to your house, right? He has to muster up courage to get up to your front door. You don't got a gun. You never make any kind of never made an obnoxious gesture to him ever, and yet he is paralyzed by fear. And you're going to say that's a good time. I mean, the deers here come right up to the house and do all this stuff, and they're eating fucking food camels wouldn't eat. I mean, they're eating prickle bushes here.
When he was born, he was about the size of the end joint of my little finger, and he had to climb his way up and get into the pouch and lock onto the teat. And once he was in there, he had 7 weeks where he was being fed and sheltered and kept warm and cuddled, and he had skin-to-skin contact with his mother.
Oh, whatever. Yeah, right. Come on. Skin-to-skin contact in a dark, humid, smelly, dirty pouch. Right. You want to go do that? You're going to tell me that you'd put up real money on the counter. So let me just say you're dead tomorrow, whatever. That's the end of your life. And so now the bargain is you got $10. Let's see. I can't send you somewhere negative, so I'm not going to intimidate you with a negative. I'm just saying, okay, you got the choice. You got the free choice. Nothing, where you just don't need anything, you don't want anything, you don't care about anything, no pain, no suffering, no anything. Or you go live 100 kangaroo pouch lives. I mean, are you really going to tell me you're going to say, yeah, throw me in the pouch? I mean, those little critters aren't that comfortable. All right? They're driven by the same crap we're driven by. And it's that's not much of a conscious life. You know that. And then let's not even talk about growing pains and all the other crap that goes with it, probably. What? Why would I do that? Why would I choose to stand in that line and ride that ride? Why the fuck would I do that? It doesn't make any sense at all to me. So if that's what you're selling, that this is the glory moment of kangaroo life, I wouldn't want to be a kangaroo.
Completely safe, and life was just blissful. And after the first 3 or 4 weeks, when his eyes opened, he could put his head out and have a look around, and life was really interesting, right?
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, we've seen little animals, and they're curious, and they hop around, they play, and they do these same things we do because we're all motivated by psychology, and they get hungry, and they get satisfied because they get a meal, and that's the addiction begins. All right? Yeah. And we know how this ends, though. We know the fact is that most of those little happy children aren't going to live. They're going to get killed by diseases, or they're going to get killed by parasites, or they're going to get killed by goddamn predators. And that's the fucking reality. They're going to get slaughtered. They're going to be bled out. They might be played with first before they're bled out.
And then, after 7 weeks or 49 days, he'd suddenly come out of the pouch and start doing time trials. And as well as being fed and sheltered and cuddled and all the rest of it, he could now go exploring. He could run off 25 yards and come back and have a drink of mother's milk.
Right, he can go get bitten by a fucking snake.
25 yards, come back and have another drink. Run off 20 or 30 yards and do a circle around her and come back, jump back inside and have a sleep for a bit. Right? It was just...
Right, or then some kind of predator can attack and they all get scared to fucking goddamn death, have a horrible trauma. I mean, fuck, I mean, again, what, you want to... I wouldn't, there's nothing, there's nothing compelling me to do this. Why would I want it? Why would I do it? And why do you have the right to tell somebody else oh, it's okay, you're going to like it. You don't have a right to shove me in that fucking pouch. No right whatsoever. What's your fucking right? What, nature gave you the keys to the car so you can drive. That's all you're going to tell me. Nature says so? Well, that's not a fucking reason. That's not an excuse. That's not a license. A license has some sort of, you pass the test, you have some authority, you have some kind of competence, you have some sort of credibility. Well, what's your credibility to tell me what's worth doing? I don't think it's worth it. Sitting in a fucking pouch for 7 weeks ain't worth it. Hopping around going, I'm a little fucking kangaroo, ain't fucking worth it.
And the sad fact is about half the joeys that get out of the pouch die before the first week.
Well, brilliant. So then you're making my argument for me, right? So it's just a waste. So whatever's invested in that thing is just wasted. The mother's pain, the traumas that they went through to survive, all that's wasted.
Because they get eaten by a fox. Because they're too slow and their mother has to run away to stop her getting eaten by a fox. Right.
And all that doesn't have any kind of psychological impact at all. They just say, whoa, what the hell? No, it's not just part of the weight of the struggle. And we know that if animals were smart enough to know what they're caught up in, they'd be smarter than you. And they'd be able to say, oh, you're right, this is dirt fucking stupid. Why the hell was I just chased? My stomach got hungry. I chased. That's what I did. Yeah, I got a pain, and I, fought through it because I didn't know how to do anything else. I mean, I just didn't understand what life and death was. I mean, they can't make the choice to just jump off a cliff.
And the joey just gets eaten. And they might be suffering for 5 minutes while the fox chases.
Yeah, whatever. So again, you're just going to minimize it. But you know what? Those are really big 5 minutes. If I shove those 5 minutes in front of most people, okay, look, crocodiles are quick. It's only going to take 3.5 minutes and you're going to be dead. All right? Maybe only 2 minutes. 2 minutes and you're dead. How many people do you think are going to choose death by crocodile? I mean, realistically, asshole. And if they could pay real money to avoid death by crocodile and go with heart attack instead, how many people do you think are going to say, yeah, I'd rather do the heart attack thing? Yeah, give me the massive heart attack, bang, I'm dead, and, shove your crocodile shit up your ass. All right? People would pay real money. They might even sell their house to avoid eaten by crocodile. And you goddamn know it. But no, you're not going to make a rational argument. You're going to make a superficial, trivial, silly argument. The fact is that you can have 2 minutes that are so bad, all right, you'd pay 100 lives to avoid those 2 minutes ever happening again. That's the truth of it. For me. And I think for a lot of other people. And the point is, again, why do you get to override my choices? Why do you get to tell me I'm not going to be able to live, not live, and you're just overriding my judgment? I'm saying, go ahead. You want to clone yourself? You want to program your kid to be as dumb and stupid and idiotic as you are? You want to program your kid to not be able to see any other truth but that nature makes sense? Then go ahead. Torture yourself. Torture your own kind. But leave me the fuck out of it.
And kills them. 5 minutes, right? And some people would say, oh, what a horrible, cruel, terrible, unfair world where when they're only 8 weeks old they get killed and all that pain and suffering, and that's obviously the dominant sensation in their life.
It's the dominant experience in their life. Like I said, it's so bad that people would pay real money to avoid it. They would give up the whole fucking rest of the joy ride, the pouch ride. They'd say, yeah, you can have the 7 weeks in the pouch if you avoid the fox, eating me alive thing. Yeah, it's a fair bargain for me, all right? Yeah, I'd rather just say, shove it, all right? Keep your gift, shove it up your own ass, leave me the fuck out of it because you're whacked, okay? If you accept gifts this shabby, you're an idiot.
I've got to say no. That's bullshit. That's 5 minutes of pain and suffering at the end of 8 weeks of absolute bliss.
Yeah, absolute bliss is just, this isn't propaganda at all. Absolute bliss. Right, and your fucking 2.5-year-old kangaroo is afraid of the old man in the hovel. Sure. Bliss.
It's a 16,128th of their life is pain and suffering. It's 0.006.
Yeah, whatever. You can go through this crap 9 million times, right? Eaten by shark. It's 0.004. Well, go ask your average Australian if that's the way they want to go, eaten by shark. And I think they're going to say, holy fucking shit, no.
Percent of their life is pain and suffering. And if they make it to their first birthday and get hit by a car, it's an 86,000th of their life.
Oh, again, so you know, every animal gets hit by a car is instantly killed. Is that your argument here? No, we know that most of them aren't instantly killed. Most of them aren't still on the road dead. No, they die somewhere else. They don't die on the road. They die off the road. And they do it slow, sometimes days, sometimes weeks from their injuries. That's the reality. It's not suffering. No, it's a big, giant, protracted, agonizing, horrific suffering. Broken limbs, infections, eaten alive by maggots. Yeah, that's what it is. And it's all worth it because why? Because they got run over by a guy going to the Super Bowl. I mean, fuck you.
0.0009%, right? So really, they're having a great time.
Oh, yeah, great time. So you have this great life. Yeah, you're doing your little hammocky thing, but I wouldn't pay any money to live your life. All right? If I had to write the contract right now, Gary's going to be dead in 5 minutes, and I can write down, well, you know, I can live another life. I'm not living any of your fucking lives. I don't see any value in this shit. So I can sit in my dirty, ratty hammock, look down my stinking, cruddy glasses, across my dirty, ragged beard, and tell people life is worth living? Sorry, no fucking sale, shithead. Why would I buy that existence? Why would I say for free I don't want it? Shove it. I'd pay real money to avoid it.
I lied. If they live for a year, it's 186,768th, which is more.
Right. And if they're a human being, then it's going to be, 30% of their life is working. Some horrid, cruddy, shitty job. And then maybe 10% is just getting to work. In some horrid, shitty bus. And fuck this not crap. Get real.
0.00103% of their life is pain and suffering.
Yeah, right. And then how much is for humans? Let's go through, or even animals that are pets for humans, right? Because we drag it out for these poor animals. They get sick, and we take them to the vet, and they surgeries, and the bullshit. You're a registered nurse. Is it all not amounts of suffering in the old hospital? I mean, the one time I was a patient in the hospital, there wasn't any not shit going on there. Right? There's fucking people screaming like they were sticking nails in their eyes. That's what I remember in the hospital. Didn't sound like a fun house to me.
At 1 year, all right? Now, Kevin over there, he's 2.5 years old. Right? Most of his life, he's been perfectly calm and satisfied and happy and comfortable.
Yeah, most of his life he's been grazing. That's what he's been doing most of his life. And to say he's fine and comfortable and all that stuff is I think, a bullshit argument. He's got all this politics with him and the other kangaroos, and then the politics between him and whatever predators you have roaming around. And then who knows what little blights he might have. He might have stubbed his toe in a rock or something or some other kind of thing. And he's had his bad days. He has to stand out in the rain. What, do you think it was all just fun? Like, they just don't care? No, you can see that they care. They just find it a little bit of a drag when the weather sucks.
With enough to drink and enough to eat, and nobody hassles him. He eats out of my hand and sniffs the camera lens.
Yeah, you're right. And how long did it take before he could do that? How much did he have to get past his fear to do that? How many loaves of bread did you have to throw at him to talk him into it?
Out there in the sheep farm, I admit, life is more miserable because, let's say, we take account of the dogs that get set on the sheep every time the farmer wants to move them. That's their ancestral enemies. That's got to be frightening. We take account of being made to swim in poison. It's called dipping them, so they don't get lice and die from lice. Drenching them, making them drink poison so they don't get worms and flukes. Shearing them, steal their coat in the middle of winter so that they'll be stimulated to grow more wool for next year. Performance called crutching them, where the farmer turns them upside down and shears the wool off their arse so they don't get fly strike and die of maggot infestations.
Yeah, right. Die of the shit they would end up with dying of in nature. And again, what's the for what? So they can graze all fucking day. Do they really look like they have a great life either way? Oh, I don't think so. They have a life that we would call fun for whatever, 15 days, right? Where they're little hoppy lambs and they're doing little silly lamb stuff. But again, what is that worth? Realistically. Come on. This is just baby talk. Live, little train that could. Climb mountain for no reason. What for? What? All of this is about a need that doesn't need to exist. You're just saying we need to satisfy the need that doesn't need to exist. Well, why do we need to satisfy the need that doesn't need to exist? We just stop needing. That's the shortest line. You want to go the shortest line to resolve the equation? Well, the shortest line isn't to sit there and satisfy the need that doesn't need to exist. The shortest line is just to say, stop making the need. The need is just bullshit. The need is the only reason why anything whaps the wheel. We don't have to have the wheel. We don't have to have the whapper. We don't have to have the cheese doodle. We don't have to have any of this shit. And you take no negative liabilities. Yeah, it's all fucking win. Nothing bad happens, okay, and you avoid horrible. Now that sounds pretty good to me. Nothing bad possibly can happen, and you avoid horrible. Yeah, and what do you give up? Oh, you give up this delusion that it's worth it because you satisfied some superficial horniness.
Some farmers, they mules them, which is to scalp their arsehole, so that it'll turn into shiny scar tissue and never grow wool there again for prevention of fly strike. So a sheep, if it lives for only 8 weeks, okay, maybe it's spent 1/1000th of its time suffering. That's 16 times.
Yeah, again, these calculations of yours are just so unrealistic. Hard suffering, hard. But I mean, again, what is that all that we're talking about here? It's not about the little burdens, the headaches. We don't get to add up all the miseries of a life. I mean, this is just bullshit. And again, you can outline a ton of ways to die that I'm going to pay that could last all of 2 minutes, and I would pay everything. I would give up. You could create for me the perfect new life to live, just perfect, and I'd say fuck it if I can avoid those 2 minutes.
Less of a life than a kangaroo in the wild. If it lives for a year, it's maybe 1/10,000th of its life has been spent suffering. It's by no way the dominant feature of its life is suffering. I don't know what it's like for a chook in a battery farm, or a pig in an intensive piggery in a barn, or a cow in a feedlot, but you're still not going to drive the amount of suffering in the life of an animal.
Yeah, well, it says you. Again, it says you. You've never been a milking cow. You've never been a creature deformed by farmer jackass, to produce 505 times the natural amount of milk or something. To be carrying this fucking sack of gallons of shit in it. And you have to eat so much more grass, and you have to get so much more. And your whole metabolism is just basically to produce milk for... you haven't lived that life. I'm not too anxious to go be a cow.
Well, up or above 1 part in 100, right? Because suffering is relative, even for humans. If your life is so deprived that the best thing in it is having a warm pair of felt slippers to put...
No, it's relative is the desire thing and the satisfaction, okay? The hungrier you are, the more the food seems necessary. All right? That's all. It's built out of your desire. No desire, no value. The food has no value to you if there's no desire. That's the relative problem. Suffering is static, in that we can all realize that, yes, hammer and testicles is not going to be a good time.
Eating in the morning and getting an extra half a bowl of porridge for breakfast before you have to walk miles through the snow and make cement bricks, then your life is well, it's like Ivan Denisovich in the novel by Alexander Solzhenitsyn. And that's what his life was about. 5 minutes of pleasure and bliss from having a warm pair of boots.
Yeah, exactly. Create enough misery that they'll eat anything. Anything. So all you're just saying is give them give them a little hope of getting their head above the water. And yes, we'll raise our head above the water because we don't like drowning. All I got to do is put the shark behind you and you will run anywhere and do anything I tell you to do if I can keep the shark from biting your nuts off. And that's the truth of it. And that's the game we're caught up in. And you want to sit there and celebrate that and tell people you're somehow depressed or broken if you don't see how brilliant that is. Sorry. No fucking sell.
Absolute delirium of pleasure because there's an extra half a bowl of porridge. So what you think makes you miserable might make somebody else wildly happy.
Again, so don't be telling me that because you don't respect my opinion. You don't respect my right not to be back here again, as I've stated. All right? You're saying that people have a right to impose. They have a right to draw the short straw, hand it to somebody, and say tough shit. So you're saying they have a right to override what will be the future judgment of that individual. That individual, there is no fucking practical reason, no justification for anybody believing that their child will have their values. No rational reason to believe that. So their child may have values entirely different than the parent. And they take no accountability for that. They just say tough fucking shit. That's what you're saying to my right to say, I don't want to play your insidiously stupid game, you motherfucker. Shove your life up your own ass. Wiggle your life up your own ass. Keep it the fuck out of me.
Then there's memory editing. Nobody ever remembers exactly the pain of childbirth, or of passing a kidney stone, or of any other physical pain. Right? It gets cut out and edited. So,
well, that sounds like a crock of shit to me. I mean, yeah, you don't remember getting born because you don't have a fucking cohesive brain. It's not going to remember anything. It doesn't do that yet. But just people do plenty of remembering the kidney stone thing. I mean, people will tell you war stories about that shit, fucker.
Or the idea that the dominant perception of life is suffering, and that in order to prevent suffering...
Well, again, it's not the dominant, it's a major player, but the real argument is there's nothing to be gained to justify it. There's no real accomplishment. We are not a Band-Aid for some wound in the universe. We are not satisfying some need that exists beyond our own perception. The only need is in your perception. All right, and the easiest way to get rid of the need, to solve the need equation, is to stop you from needing it. Once your need is gone, we would be just as comfortable as the non-existent Martians. We would be just as magnificent a thing as the Venetians. All of these things that don't exist in the universe aren't in fucking hell saying, oh, I wish I could be a kick-ass jackass on fucking planet Earth watching American Idol and rooting for my favorite movie at the Oscars or some kind of shit, or watching what kind of clothes they're wearing, or some other fucking bullshit.
Being perceived you have to have no life. It's a wild overreaction. It's a baby with the bathwater reaction.
No, it's recognizing that, like I said, well, why the fuck should I have your values? Why the fuck do you think you can't make a rational argument for life? You're not making rational arguments. You're just saying that we crazy fucks like to shove bananas up our ass. And where you're going to say to me, why don't you like to shove bananas up your ass? And I'm saying, well, why the fuck should I want to shove a banana up my ass? And all you're saying to me is because we like it. Well, fuck you, you idiot. I'm telling you quite honestly. I wouldn't pay 10 cents to live your fucking scurvy life. I wouldn't pay 25 cents to live any other fucking human on this planet's life. I wouldn't pay anything, and I would pay big money to avoid being most of the living things on this planet. Real hard cash. I'd pay it. If you're going to fucking extort me and tell me I have to go live this life unless I sacrifice something, then I'm going to sacrifice it. All right, you tell me I have to be a baby born in Harlem tomorrow, or I lose my computer. Well, I'll say, fuck you, take the computer.
I can't accept that it's anything other than a function of a depressed state of mind.
Oh, well, again, it's just the cheapest fucking kind of argument there is. Why the fuck would anybody... It's like saying, well, World War II was just a manifestation of depressed psychology, quite obviously. I mean, quite obviously, there was a lot of people depressed during World War II when they were watching their kids get murdered and all this other shit, and their house burned down, all the other crap. Yeah, and their child with one leg. And, you know, there was obviously way too much depression. So it was the depression that killed all those people. It was the depression that caused the war. That's what caused the war. That's right, it was depression. I mean, this is a stupid argument. People are depressed because they live in a world and they say this is not satisfactory. This is not up to snuff. This is degrading, insulting. Why the fuck would I be happy? Why, the fact that you jackasses are happy with this, that you find it quite satisfactory that most kangaroos don't reach their first birthday. The fact that you think that's just fucking fine makes you a psychotic lunatic, in my opinion. It doesn't make you an adjusted psychology. It makes you a maladjusted, insane, wacky fack. What the fuck is the game, jackass? What are you accomplishing, shit fuck? I see a lion in a hammock not doing a motherfucking goddamn thing. What exactly are you accomplishing, shithead? What about your lousy crap fucking existence is going to endure more than 10 minutes past your death, you stupid shit? Oh, that's right, not a fucking thing.
The individual is already depressed. Everything that they see around them makes them feel miserable, and they run across a philosophy that says there's no point in life.
Yeah, again, so that's just... Anybody can just do the same thing. So I'll just say, okay, you're not only intellectually deficient, not only grasping for a simplistic pop culture, you know, the most people believe it, you're not only duped by pop culture norms and the mindsets and the subliminal messages and the corporate think that has completely convinced you that you're accomplishing something when you're a fucking asshole instead. That it really just comes down to is your little scaredy cats, okay, you can't stand the idea that the world would exist without you. You're so egomaniacal that you actually think the world would give a fuck if you didn't exist, that somehow the net comfort on planet Earth would somehow be horribly in the deficit, like something that, like, the planet would almost, a tear would come flying out of a volcano somewhere because old fucking crazy batshit nutball wasn't here. You're just egomaniacal lunatic. So there, you call me a depressive, and I'll just call you an egomaniacal lunatic, a psychotic, egomaniacal, sadistic lunatic. There. Now you feel good?
There should be nobody else born. Right? I'm fairly sure that I think I'm normal, and anybody who...
Yeah, well, gee, normal. That means a lot, doesn't it? What the fuck does normal mean? What I think I am, and what I attempt to demonstrate by making these videos, is I think I'm fucking logical. And I don't think you can make a rational argument justifying any of it. Not one goddamn bit of it. Not the suffering of one kid dying from leukemia. I don't think you can make one rational argument justifying that suffering existing. I don't think there's one single thing that human existence has accomplished, or one thing the 4 billion years of replicating DNA has accomplished, or that it can ever accomplish to justify that much suffering. And I don't think you can make one stinking rational argument without resorting to God or Gaia or some other crap. Okay? All you've said is, we think so. Well, that doesn't mean shit.
Varies from my viewpoint. is increasingly abnormal. It's a common feature of the human condition to project your normality out onto the rest of the world. So
yeah, well, whatever. You're the one doing all the projecting. You've projected a purpose, an accomplishment, a justification. You haven't defined it. You haven't described it. You've just said that somehow when I'm hungry, okay, and deprivated, and I satisfy that, and I'm undeprivated by that process, it gives me a good feeling, and that good feeling is somehow worth some kid having cancer therapy. Yeah, you're fucking insane.
The depressed, they think that they are normal, and they think that it is normal to be depressed, and they think that everybody else in the world sees just the same.
Well, look, again, you're going to make the argument, you're going to have to make it from some other position. It is, of course, a completely psychologically anticipatable reaction to circumstances. Depression, people should be depressed, okay, if their name is like Bob Hitler in 1937 and they live in Germany. All right, they probably should be kind of depressed because things aren't looking too good for the old family name. I mean, there's lots of reasons people should be depressed. And what I'm going to say to you is there's absolutely no reason, looking at the human condition or the natural condition and the 4 billion year history of this stupid DNA gladiator contest, to sit there and clap your hands and say, good show. This was not a good show. This is disgusting. I mean, it's been disgusting. Preposterous suffering. Preposterous waste. Smallpox. Let's just talk about all the victims of smallpox, and let's just put their suffering in one pile. And you tell me, you fucker, what in the whole history of humankind is worth that suffering? Yeah, you're not going to come up with an answer.
Some kind of despair-filled, depressing view of the universe. So, they're being very...
Yeah, depressing view of the universe. You just said it. And so you're going to deny them their fair, reasonable, rational perception of reality. You're going to say you have a better perception, but you'll outline it not. No outline, no logic, not. Just not worth of logic. Not worth of evidence. Not worth of facts. Just a bunch of nots. And all you got is, we think so. Us. Yeah. The God botherers. The fucking American Idol watchers. The flag-waving sports Looney Toonies. Yeah. You know reality. You know the truth. Yeah, you know shit.
Less in saying that they don't want to have any children and inflict misery and suffering on the world. They're being kind of rude when they say that because they are depressed and miserable, therefore everybody else should share the viewpoint that life is not worth living, and thus and because...
No, they're saying leave us the fuck out of it. Again, why should you create life and assume it's going to have your perspective or your point of view? And until you have some guarantee, until you can build the nest, do it right, okay, do the job well done, then you shouldn't be doing the job, okay? I mean, that's it's a cliche, but yeah, if you're not going to do it right, don't do it at all. And that's the standard you got to live by. So if you're going to subject some other person to this liability of drawing the short straw that you can't fix, I say that's irresponsible, reckless, insane behavior. You have no right to defend any of that until you fix it. And you can't fix it. That's just the truth. So, yeah, your right is diminished.
Nobody should have any children. Their aim is to have no life in the universe because the possibility of life involves the certainty of perceiving suffering, and they think suffering is all important.
Well, they think it's all important in the context of a game that accomplishes, again, it serves no need beyond the needs it creates. It serves no need beyond the needs it creates. It serves no need beyond the needs it creates. So that's like having an engine that just burns gasoline but produces nothing. Nothing. Or let's say have a gasoline production engine, an engine that produces gasoline, and you have to pour more gasoline into it than it produces. You wouldn't run such an engine, you wouldn't turn the key on such an engine because it's stupid. It's not a winnable game. There'll always be more losers than winners. There'll always be more, the depth and weight and gravity of the suffering will always have more weight, gravity, significance than the superficial, trivial, what a great bag of potato chip bullshit.
Well, I think it's pretty rude, you know. It's like saying to somebody, you had...
Well, look, again, who's imposing on who? I'm not here through my rudeness, fuckhead. I'm here through somebody else's rudeness. They didn't ask my permission. They didn't fix the world before they had kids. They didn't prevent me from reading books and becoming smarter than they are. So how the fuck is that not rude, you dumb fuck? The fact that your kids are too stupid to say it right to your fucking face, I would say is you know, maybe that's, you know, I won't even get personal. But fuck you. Who the fuck are you to assume your view of the world is going to be their view of the world? Who are you? And what if? Well, I won't even go with the what ifs, because you'd just say, well, I just feed it to the crocodiles, right? If it came out broken, you would have just fed it to the crocodiles.
A marvellous life for X number of years, and then you were raped. And afterwards, you had a hard time getting over the rape, but you had all these other things that you did and you were pleased about. But nothing matters except the rape, because you are defined by the rape. That 5 minutes of suffering is predominant to everything else that happened. It's really rude to appropriate and I would say misappropriate something.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to accept you telling other people they're rude, all right? You're the one who's aggressively in my business. You're the one playing fucking God. Who the fuck are you to say I'm rude? Okay, you're the rudeness one. You're the one saying you have the competence. You're willing to take responsibility. Even though you can't take responsibility, even though you can't, there's no undo buttons here. All right? There really isn't. There's no reboot button. You don't get to do it over. All right? You do it wrong, and then you have to clean up the mess, and at best you're going to be able to just sweep around it. You're never going to be able to fix it. So this is just bullshit. You fucker. You're the rude one. You arrogant, obnoxious fucking shithead.
To shore up your position that there shouldn't be anybody born because you're miserable.
No, there shouldn't be anybody born because you don't have a right to play God. You don't have a right to draw straws for somebody else. You don't have a right to play with some other consciousness but your own. You want to put yourself in jeopardy? You want to climb a mountain yourself? You want to roll the genetic dice? Okay? Do it. Fine. But don't do it with me. I'm sick of coming back here and have to say the same, Schopenhauer. I'm a Schopenhauer. I'm everybody who's ever said this is stupid. We're all the same person, and we're going to keep existing if we don't stop you fuckers.
And it's kind of where antinatalism seems to be coming from. It's hyper-nihilism.
It's the exact opposite, you stupid shit.